October 7th. Presently, it's 4:03 a.m. in the morning, middle of the night. This is when I have most of my experiences, of course, and once I've had an experience, I get on here and I record regardless of the day or the time. And I believe this experience occurred at approximately 3:15 a.m. in the morning. So let me get right into it. As all of my experiences are, this was definitely interesting, but I must tell you before I begin with this particular experience, it's still a little foggy. Some experiences are quite clear to me and come to me very easily. I believe my previous experience was very, very clear. This experience was or is a bit foggy to me as I begin or try to remember all of it. And one of my theories about this perhaps is that it really depends on how tired my mind is, because my mind is the mechanism that is remembering what occurred. And so if my mind is tired, really tired, like the mind can't be too aware when you're in these experiences, or you're not going to even be able to have an experience if the mind is too involved. The mind has to be relaxed. That's why meditation and these other things are so helpful to inducing astral projection and, for me, beyond body as well. So this is why. But if your mind is too tired, then you're going to have, at least I usually have, more difficulty remembering details. I think personally, honestly, there needs to be some sort of in-between point with the mind. There's some sort of sweet spot that you have to get to where it's tired, too tired to interfere, but alert and awake enough to remember details. And that is a difficult thing to achieve, as I'm learning. So anyway, this was interesting. I closed my eyes and I was tired. I definitely was tired. Of course, for those of you who are interested in this, I did again have storm sounds on. And when I was lying down, I just kind of in my mind thought about holding onto the rope. Remember, in some of my previous episodes, I've said one of the things that I do is I will imagine I'm on a cliff and I'm holding a white rope, and it's important. I can specifically, in my mind, picture a white rope. It's white, and I'm holding on to it with my hands. And right before I go into sleep, I will let go of that rope and go into whatever state I'm going into. Now, I only really briefly imagined this. I imagined holding onto this rope, but it was kind of in the back of my mind. I was just really tired and really just trying to relax. When the motion came, I don't recall or remember much about the energy surging like I normally do. I just remember that there was definitely motion, and I was moving for a little while. And again, for those of you who don't regularly watch these Beyond Body videos, when I speak of motion, I'm not saying that I have separated from my body. What I'm saying is that I can sense my entire body moving in motion in space. Sometimes it's like a rocket. I feel like as if I'm a human rocket and I'm hurtling through space. And other times it's a steady kind of emotion that happens. Sometimes it's really slow, and sometimes I just simply feel myself turn different angles, different positions until I'm in the place where I'm in. This time, steady motion, and I was patient. I do remember that as well. I was extremely patient in the sense that sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm ready to get up. I'm ready to see where I am, and I'm itching to finish whatever the motion is, however long it's going to last. Kind of like, I suppose you could imagine a child, a small child who keeps asking, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Kind of thing. That's how it feels sometimes with me and the beyond body when I'm in motion. I'm thinking, have we arrived? Are we there? What is, what kind of place is this going to be? What kind of new adventure is this going to be? Because every adventure is different. So this time I was patient. I allowed the motion to complete itself, to go all the way until it ended. And then slowly, as I did slow down actually, and I came to a stop, the darkness slowly began to lift, as it always does. I was in a restaurant of some sort. Now, I've been in other restaurants before, in other realities, other places. I do believe that this was a parallel universe that I was in. That's the first thing that kind of comes to my mind because, well, let me continue. It was like a wooden table, sort of. Definitely simple. I don't even remember there being food on the table. Perhaps I had already finished eating. I'm not 100% sure. I know that I was facing a window, and there was a business outside of this window. But also, I think it's important for me to include that I was with a companion. And this always disturbs me when I don't remember much about who I'm with. I was with a companion. There was someone I was traveling with. I believe this was probably someone that I've traveled with before. I've had other companions, other beings that I've traveled with. And when I was there in this space, when I first got there, of course, I always have this thought that I want to explore, but I knew this person, whoever it was. Although I don't remember much of anything about what this person looked like. I don't. That disturbs me. And again, the reason why it disturbs me, if you can just imagine for one moment being around someone and feeling in that moment that you're with them as if you've known them forever, that you are fast friends, that you have done many things together. And then when you open your eyes or when you come back to, the reality, this reality, I honestly, I don't remember who this person is. I don't. And it's a bit frustrating to me. But I was definitely having some sort of conversation even once I got there. We were talking. One of the things I do remember, although I don't remember the name of this business, there was a business that I saw outside the window and I kept repeating it because I thought, I want to remember this. And usually it's honestly for you guys because I want to remember what it is I'm seeing so I can bring back a name. That's usually important to me. Unfortunately, I can't remember much about it right now. It's so funny. I kept repeating it. It was something like the boy is it was an odd name for a business. And I feel like I should remember what it is, but I honestly, I can't. Just being completely honest and transparent with you, I cannot remember the exact name of the business that I was looking at. But again, I repeated it over and over again. And it's possible, very possible that it could have been a bank of some sort. Anyway, I do remember telling my companion, the person I was with, that I was going to walk around and explore this place in this parallel universe. It's interesting how I knew I had traveled to this parallel universe. I knew that from here, but at the same time, I knew this person. I knew this person that I cannot remember now. I can't remember anything about this person now. But again, this person, it seemed when I said this, that this person felt like, yeah, well, this is something that I would normally do because I love doing this sort of thing. So it wasn't unusual, not unusual at all. And so I remember getting up and walking around. I know that there were patrons, other people at the restaurant that were eating. I don't believe anything stood out to me, though. Again, it's foggy about exactly. I'm foggy in the sense of I don't remember much about the people other than they were people. Nothing stood out to me about this. This was just a normal restaurant. And as I've told you before about these parallel universes, some are amazing, interesting. I mean, you know, I can fly and do all these different things. And then in others, it's just quite mundane. Not to say that that's not amazing. I mean, I'm in a parallel universe, but I just, again, want to emphasize to you that just because you're in a parallel universe doesn't mean you're going to experiencing, these, extravagant adventures that you were going to be, it's not like, I'll just say that it's not like the movies. They're very just normal places. These places just like our places are. So I know that nothing stood out to me as I was walking around because I would have remembered something that stood out, and I would tell you that something stood out, but nothing did as I was exploring. Again, people were just eating. Imagine any kind of a restaurant. Obviously now there are many places that have restrictions on restaurants because of what's going on in the world in regards to masks and other things. None of those things existed here. So anyway, as I was walking around, I can recall my companion was getting up and was walking towards a cashier to pay. In fact, I remember I was standing somewhere near the cashier. Again, I don't remember many details about this cashier, which to me means that nothing really stood out about this individual. And what I do remember is that I was reaching into my pocket because I wanted to pay. And well, interestingly enough, I could feel money. There was money in my pocket. In fact, I believe there was, I had a little bit of money. I was able to grab something in my pocket that, there were definitely, I don't know what kind of denominations there were, if there were 10s, 20s, whatever. I did pull out kind of a sort of a fistful of dollars, I guess, or a handful of dollars in other currency, I guess. I don't know. It looked a lot like the currency or the money in the United States where I live. I don't remember that there was any difference, but I do remember that my companion, she already was pulling out her money. And again, I had this sense or this feeling that she just was like, oh, this is just him being who he is, walking around excited or whatever. She said she didn't seem to be in a state of excitement or, like, oh, wow, I'm in a parallel universe. It just seemed like a normal thing to her, which I thought was very interesting. So she had the money out, and I remember saying, I want to pay. And I remember I said this, I want to pay in another reality, in a parallel universe. I want to see what that's like. But I think she ignored me, and she just went to the cashier and put the money down. And the cashier was giving her change. And as the cashier was taking out, the cashier took out a couple dollar bills. I took out a dollar bill, and I wanted to compare For some reason, I don't know why. Actually, it's so funny. I'm thinking about it now. I don't know why I would have thought that the money in my pocket would be different than the money that's being pulled out of the register. But I just wanted to compare and see what the money was in this reality, even though I would imagine that I would have had the money already. Something I wasn't thinking about. Perhaps I was thinking I have the dollar bills from this reality or the money from this reality. Very strange, because if I would have just taken the money out and looked at it right then and there, I would have seen it. But I guess I didn't think about that at the moment. When just as I was getting ready to ask the cashier, hey, here is $1. Can I see $1 from the register? I was back. My eyes opened and I was back. I was back in this reality. Anyway, that was the experience. Thank you so much for coming on another journey with me. And until next time, take care.